She walked away with the house, the savings, the cars, and even his confidence. Standing alone with nothing but a suitcase, Ethan Carter thought he had lost everything. But 3 months later, fate handed him a ticket worth $300 million, and the woman who once called him a failure found herself standing behind a crowd, begging for just one more conversation. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another emotional and inspiring story from us. Now, let's get into today's unforgettable story. The rain had already soaked Ethan Carter's jacket before he stepped out of the courthouse. Around him, lawyers hurried toward waiting cars while reporters chased another high-profile case across the street. Nobody noticed the man carrying one worn-out duffel bag. 3 hours earlier, he had signed the last document ending 12 years of marriage. His ex-wife, Victoria Carter, walked away with nearly everything. The family home, the luxury SUV, most of the savings, their investment accounts, even the antique furniture Ethan had inherited from his late father. She climbed into her new car without looking back. Her attorney smiled confidently. "You'll recover eventually," he said politely, before shutting the door. Ethan simply nodded. He wasn't angry anymore, he was empty. For years, Ethan had worked as a project manager for a construction company, while Victoria built an online luxury fashion business. During the early years, Ethan had sacrificed promotions, overtime pay, and even opportunities in other states, so Victoria could chase her dreams. He believed marriage meant building together. Unfortunately, success changed people differently. When Victoria's business exploded across social media, expensive vacations replaced quiet weekends. Designer handbags filled closets once packed with family photo albums. Business dinners slowly became private meetings Ethan wasn't invited to. Eventually, conversations disappeared altogether. Arguments took their place. "You have no ambition anymore," Victoria often complained. "I supported your ambition," Ethan would quietly reply. "You chose that. I chose us." She never answered that sentence. Instead, she filed for divorce. By the time the court finished dividing everything, Ethan was left with an aging pickup truck, a small checking account, and the wedding ring he couldn't bring himself to throw away. His younger sister, Emma, met him outside the courthouse. She hugged him without saying a word. Sometimes silence comforted more than advice. "You can stay with me," she finally whispered. Ethan shook his head. "I'll figure something out." Emma frowned. "You always say that, and somehow I usually do." Across town, Victoria celebrated. Her closest friends gathered inside a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city skyline. Crystal glasses clinked together. Expensive wine flowed. Music filled the evening. Her best friend Rachel raised a toast. To new beginnings. Everyone cheered. Victoria smiled confidently. No more carrying dead weight. The table erupted with laughter. Only one person remained quiet. Victoria's older brother, Daniel. He had known Ethan since college. He remembered the nights Ethan worked double shifts so Victoria could pay business expenses. He remembered Ethan secretly selling his motorcycle to keep the business alive during its first difficult year. Daniel placed his glass down. "I hope you know what you're celebrating." Victoria rolled her eyes. "Freedom? No." He looked directly at her. "You're celebrating the loss of someone who always stood beside you." Victoria shrugged. He wasn't enough anymore. Daniel left without finishing dinner. 3 days later, Ethan moved into a modest apartment owned by his longtime friend Marcus Hill. Marcus charged almost nothing for rent. "I owe you," Ethan said. Marcus laughed. "You helped me rebuild my garage after that tornado. Consider us even." Their friendship stretched back nearly 20 years. Marcus owned a small auto repair shop. Business wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills honestly. Knowing Ethan needed work immediately, Marcus hired him. The salary wasn't impressive. Neither cared. Every morning, Ethan arrived before sunrise. Every evening, he left after cleaning tools others forgot to put away. Customers noticed. Employees respected him. Life became simple again. Meanwhile, Victoria's business continued growing. Magazine interviews, luxury partnerships, exclusive events. Her social media followers climbed past 2 million. She posted glamorous photos almost daily, smiling beside private jets, shopping in Paris, dining in expensive restaurants. People admired the image. Few noticed the loneliness hiding behind it. One afternoon, An elderly customer named Harold Jenkins visited Marcus's garage. His old sedan barely started. While Marcus repaired the engine, Harold sat beside Ethan. "You look familiar." Ethan smiled. "I doubt it. I watched your divorce on local news." Embarrassed, Ethan nodded. Harold surprised him. "You handled yourself with dignity. I didn't have much choice." "You always have a choice." Harold reached into his jacket pocket. He handed Ethan a folded lottery ticket. "My granddaughter bought this for me." Ethan laughed. "You should keep it." "I'm 90 years old," Harold grinned. "If I win, I'll probably spend half of it on hearing aids." They both laughed. "Take it." "I can't." "You can." Marcus overheard the conversation. "Take the ticket, Ethan." Finally, Ethan accepted, mostly to avoid offending the old man. He slipped it into his wallet, then forgot about it completely. Weeks passed, business stayed steady, life slowly healed invisible wounds. Emma visited often. Marcus refused to let Ethan isolate himself. Their mechanic crew invited him to weekend barbecues. For the first time in years, Ethan laughed without forcing it. He wasn't rich, he wasn't married, but he finally slept peacefully. 3 months after the divorce, the state lottery announced a record jackpot, $300 million. Television stations interrupted regular programming, stores filled with hopeful customers checking tickets. Marcus jokingly reminded everyone, "Whoever wins, better remember this garage." Everyone laughed. Then Ethan remembered. The old ticket, still sitting inside his wallet. He walked to the break room, opened the lottery website, compared the numbers once, twice, 3 times. His heartbeat became thunder. Marcus noticed his face. "What happened?" Ethan couldn't answer. His hands trembled violently. Marcus grabbed the ticket, checked the numbers himself, then stared silently. No. Another employee checked, then another. Finally, Marcus whispered, "You won." The room froze. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then cheers exploded throughout the garage. Some cried, others hugged Ethan. Marcus simply smiled. "I told you good things eventually happen." News spread faster than wildfire. Within hours, television vans surrounded the lottery headquarters. Reporters searched for the mysterious winner. Ethan stayed hidden. His attorney advised complete privacy until every legal detail was finalized. Meanwhile, social media exploded. The winning ticket had been purchased near Marcus's neighborhood. Speculation filled the internet. Then, 2 days later, Ethan stepped onto the lottery stage, holding the oversized ceremonial check. Flashes from hundreds of cameras lit the room. His name appeared across every television network. Victoria nearly dropped her coffee. She stared at the screen in complete disbelief. "Ethan!" Rachel rushed into her office. "Isn't that—" Victoria nodded slowly. "My ex-husband." The television reporter continued. "The winner has chosen the lump sum payment estimated at approximately $178 million after taxes." Victoria couldn't hear another word. Her mind replayed the divorce, the insults, the arguments, the final goodbye. Daniel called immediately. "So," Victoria remained silent. "You finally realize money wasn't the only thing you lost." She hung up. For days, journalists chased Ethan everywhere. But instead of buying sports cars or private islands, he shocked everyone. He paid off Marcus's business loans, purchased Harold Jenkins a beautiful retirement home, created college scholarship funds, donated millions to homeless shelters and children's hospitals. Then something even more unexpected happened. He reopened his father's abandoned woodworking factory, not as a luxury business, but as a company dedicated to employing people who struggled to find second chances. Former inmates, single parents, military veterans, people recovering from addiction. The community applauded. The factory hired over 100 workers within months. Emma became financial director. Marcus supervised facility maintenance. Harold visited every Friday just to drink coffee and tell stories. People finally saw Ethan for who he had always been. Not lucky, kind. One afternoon, Victoria requested a meeting. Against everyone's advice, Ethan agreed. They met at a quiet park where they had shared their first date years earlier. Victoria arrived wearing expensive clothes, but confidence no longer accompanied her. "You look different," she said. "I feel different." "I'm sorry." Ethan remained quiet. "I made mistakes. We both did." "No." Tears formed. "I forgot who helped build everything." Ethan looked toward children playing nearby. You know what hurt most? She lowered her eyes. It wasn't losing the house. It wasn't losing money. It wasn't even the divorce. He sighed softly. It was realizing the person I loved started measuring my value by my income. Victoria cried openly. I was selfish. Yes, I thought success meant leaving people behind. It often does. She reached toward him. I want another chance. Ethan gently stepped back. I truly forgive you. Hope returned briefly to her face. But forgiveness doesn't always reopen closed doors. Silence settled between them. I hope you find happiness. You already have. He smiled kindly. So can you. He walked away. Not because he hated her, because he had finally learned to love himself enough not to return to the life that once broke him. Months later, Ethan attended the grand opening of the new Carter Community Center. Hundreds gathered. Families, employees, students, veterans, former homeless individuals now working full-time. Marcus stood beside him. Emma wiped away tears. Harold, now healthy and cheerful, laughed from the front row. A young reporter asked Ethan one final question. If you could go back and change anything, would you still choose this path? Ethan smiled thoughtfully. If I had never lost everything, he looked around at the smiling faces surrounding him. I might never have discovered what truly mattered. The crowd applauded. Across town, Victoria watched the ceremony on television. She wasn't jealous anymore. She finally understood. The jackpot hadn't made Ethan extraordinary. It had simply revealed the extraordinary man he had always been. The real prize had never been $300 million. It had been character, integrity, kindness, and the courage to keep moving forward when life seemed unfair. Because sometimes losing everything isn't the end of someone's story. Sometimes, writing. The applause echoed across the courtyard long after Ethan stepped away from the microphone. Children ran through the newly opened playground while volunteers served meals to hundreds of local families. Laughter filled the air, replacing the sound of construction equipment that had occupied the property for months. Marcus walked over with 2 bottles of water. You handled that speech better than I expected. Ethan laughed. I was more nervous speaking today than I was standing in front of every news station after winning the lottery. Marcus grinned. That's because today actually mattered. The 2 friends stood quietly, watching people enjoy the community center. Nearby, Emma was helping teenagers register for free vocational training programs. Across the lawn, Harold sat beneath a large oak tree, surrounded by children, who listened carefully as he told stories from his youth. This, Ethan said softly, is worth more than any jackpot. Marcus nodded. You finally believe that? Not everyone celebrated Ethan's success. Across the city, executives from Victoria's company gathered inside an emergency board meeting. Sales had begun slowing. Several investors questioned expensive marketing campaigns. The luxury lifestyle that once attracted customers now seemed disconnected from everyday families struggling through rising living costs. Rachel, still Victoria's closest advisor, leaned across the conference table. You need positive publicity. Victoria sighed. I've tried. No. Rachel looked directly at her. You've tried advertisements. What people want now is authenticity. Another executive spoke up. Your former husband has become one of the most respected philanthropists in the state. The room became silent. Victoria lowered her eyes. I know. Maybe. Rachel hesitated. You should publicly support one of his charity projects. Victoria shook her head immediately. No. Why? Because people would know exactly why I'm doing it. For the first time in years, she chose honesty over appearance. I've already hurt him enough. No one argued. Meanwhile, Ethan's factory continued growing. The woodworking business became known for handcrafted furniture, built with exceptional quality. Unlike large corporations focused only on profits, Ethan insisted every employee receive training, healthcare assistance, and opportunities for promotion. One morning, a young man named Tyler nervously entered the factory. Fresh out of prison after serving 5 years for armed robbery, he struggled to find anyone willing to hire him. He stood outside Ethan's office holding his resume. I understand if you say no. Ethan read the application carefully. What happened? Tyler answered honestly. I made terrible decisions. And today, I just want my daughter to stop being ashamed of me. Ethan smiled. When can you start? Tyler blinked. You're hiring me. I'm giving you an opportunity. Tears filled Tyler's eyes. "I won't waste it." "I believe you." Word spread quickly. Soon dozens of people rebuilding their lives found meaningful employment at Carter Woodworks. The company became more than a business. It became a place where hope had another chance. 3 months later, Ethan received an unexpected letter, not from Victoria, not from a lawyer, from Harold. The old man had written it by hand. "Dear Ethan, people keep thanking me for giving you that lottery ticket. They're wrong. I didn't give you your future. I simply handed a good man another opportunity. Money changes many people. It only revealed who you already were. Thank you for proving kindness never goes out of style." Ethan folded the letter carefully, then placed it inside the same wallet where the winning lottery ticket had once rested. Some things were too valuable to throw away. Winter arrived. Snow covered rooftops across the city. Inside the community center, volunteers prepared Christmas dinners for nearly 1,000 families. Emma organized toy donations. Marcus repaired broken heaters free of charge. Tyler and dozens of factory employees built hundreds of wooden bicycles and dollhouses by hand. The building buzzed with excitement. Then, something unexpected happened. Victoria quietly walked through the front entrance carrying several large boxes. She wasn't followed by photographers. She hadn't announced her visit. No cameras, no interviews, only gifts. Emma noticed her first. Their eyes met. Neither spoke. Victoria approached one of the volunteers. "Where should I put these?" The volunteer smiled warmly. "Right over there." For nearly 4 hours, Victoria wrapped presents beside strangers who had no idea who she was. She served meals, cleaned tables, washed dishes. She never once searched for Ethan. As the evening ended, she quietly prepared to leave. "Ethan." She turned. He stood near the entrance. "I didn't know you were here. I wasn't planning to tell you." He looked around the hall. "You stayed all afternoon." She nodded. "I wanted to help." "No interviews?" "No." "No social media?" "No." He smiled. "Good." She looked confused. "You finally learned that kindness doesn't need an audience." For the first time since their divorce, she smiled without pretending. "Maybe I did." They wished each other Merry Christmas. Nothing more, nothing less. Some relationships don't need to be repaired. Sometimes they simply need peace. As another year approached, Ethan stood alone outside the factory watching sunrise paint the sky with shades of gold. 1 year earlier, he had believed his life was over. He had walked out of a courthouse carrying a single duffel bag. Now, hundreds of families depended on jobs his company provided. Thousands had benefited from scholarships, housing programs, and community services. Yet the greatest victory wasn't financial. It was personal. He no longer measured success by possessions. He measured it by people whose lives had changed because someone believed in them. Marcus walked outside carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You've been standing here for 10 minutes. I've just been thinking. Dangerous habit." Ethan laughed. "You know what's funny?" "What?" "If I had never lost everything," Marcus finished the sentence, "you probably wouldn't appreciate any of this." Ethan nodded slowly. "Exactly. Sometimes the worst day of a person's life quietly becomes the beginning of their best future." The divorce had taken Ethan's house, his savings, his marriage, but it had never taken his heart. And in the end, that turned out to be worth far more than $300 million.